Have you ever felt like giving up? Like no matter how hard you try, success is always just out of reach? If so, you're not alone. Many of the world's most successful people face the same struggle. From Steve Jobs to Elon Musk, they all experienced failure before they found success. But there's one thing they all share. They never gave up on their belief in themselves. And that's the lesson we'll uncover today. Let me tell you the story of a man named Jack. Jack was once a small business owner. He had big dreams, a vision, and a burning desire to make a difference. But reality was far from what he had hoped for. His business wasn't thriving. In fact, it was barely surviving. Every day felt like a struggle, and the bills kept piling up. Jack had invested everything into his business, his time, his money, and even his energy. But nothing seemed to work. One evening, feeling defeated, he sat alone in his small office, surrounded by stacks of unpaid invoices. He glanced at a framed quote on his desk. "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." It was a quote that had always inspired him, but today it felt more like a cruel reminder. The next day, Jack made a decision. He was going to quit. He'd had enough of failure, but just as he was packing up his things, a letter arrived. It was from his childhood mentor, Mr. Thompson, a man who had once been a successful entrepreneur himself. The letter read, "Dear Jack, I know things aren't going well for you right now, but I want to tell you something. When I was your age, I failed more times than I can count. But each time I failed, I learned something new. Every mistake made me smarter, and every setback brought me closer to my breakthrough. You are not defined by your failures, Jack. You are defined by what you choose to do next. Don't give up. Keep going." Jack read the letter over and over again. Something inside him clicked. Maybe failure wasn't the end. Maybe it was the beginning of something greater. Inspired, Jack decided to take one more shot at his business, but with a new approach. He started focusing on what he could offer people, rather than just what he could sell. He began offering value first, giving away free advice, helping others, and showing up every day with a renewed sense of purpose. Slowly but surely, things began to change. People started to notice his efforts. They began trusting him. And as his reputation grew, so did his business. Months later, Jack's business had transformed. He was no longer struggling to keep afloat. He was thriving. His name was becoming known, not because of what he had, but because of the value he brought to others. One day, Jack bumped into an old acquaintance at a business conference. The man was shocked to see him there. "Jack, is that really you?" he asked, surprised by his success. "Yes, it's me," Jack replied, smiling. "I've learned that success isn't about being perfect. It's about the journey, the lessons, and the belief that you can always do better." The acquaintance looked amazed. "You know, I've heard your story, and it's inspiring. But what was the turning point for you?" Jack thought for a moment and said, "It was when I realized that failure wasn't my enemy. It was my greatest teacher. And when I believed in myself enough to keep going, even when things seemed impossible, that's when everything changed." His acquaintance nodded in understanding. "Your story is exactly what people need to hear. You didn't just give up, you gave yourself the chance to succeed." And Jack smiled, knowing that his belief in himself was the true secret to his success. It was never about luck or timing, it was about his mindset. Lesson of the story. Success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about learning from it and choosing to keep moving forward. You can fail, but you don't have to be a failure. You have the power to change your story. All it takes is the belief that you can. So, remember this. No matter where you are in your journey, your next step could be the breakthrough you've been waiting for. Don't give up. Keep believing, and success will follow. If you found this story inspiring, hit the like button. Leave a comment sharing your thoughts or a story of your own. And don't forget to subscribe for more content on personal